Good day, everybody. This is Ying Yang in California. I am here on morning number 1775. Morsels of a thought of wisdom. Hopefully, that we each learn the right things to do for ourselves in our lives. And when we do the right thing, it's called creating virtue. When we know the right thing, it's called having wisdom. Morsels of a thought, hopefully to bring more virtue into the world every day. Now, we go through what people have for life experiences, and I am going to read to you about how we know when we're in a relationship. Women who do the rules have no question that they're dating a guy or not. They know it because the guy either fulfills the requirements that the rules give or not. And next is the word we say if they're not. So, next we shall read chapter 4 in all the Rules by Fein and Sherrie Schneider. They wrote the book, The Rules, the original that is right here. Every time I take it out, I put it back and then I forget to give it to you, for goodness sakes. So, as we see, chapter 4 says, don't waste time on fantasy relationships. If you have a good rapport with your doctor, lawyer, or accountant, you may find yourself wondering if he is interested in you romantically. You're not alone, but you may not be seeing the situation for what it is. How can you know for sure? It's simple. Has he ever asked you out? Has he ever suggested having a drink, coffee, lunch, or dinner? If the answer is no, then he's not. This may sound obvious, but you'd be surprised how many women tell themselves it's romance when a man pays them the slightest attention out of professional courtesy. We wrote this chapter to smash any delusions you might have about a fantasy relationship of your own. Unless he asks to spend time with you in a non professional capacity, a relationship beyond business does not exist, and rules girls don't waste their time on non existent relationships. Sort of like I have non-existent eyebrows and I put them on, so I have eyebrows. So you want to have existent relationships if you can do it. The fact is, when a man is interested in a woman, including a female patient or client, employer or employee, he finds some way to ask her out. He may invite her to work out at his gym, attend a fundraiser with him, or to play tennis over the weekend. He may not necessarily ask her out for a Saturday night date, since that might be too obvious or awkward or forward, but he'll figure out some way to see her outside of the office. This behavior is different from the professional courtesy of a physician or financial advisor who might say, call me anytime, which women mistakenly interpret as romantic interest. Let's examine 3 fantasy relationships and the rules answers to remove any doubt you might have about a similar situation in your life. Fantasy relationship number 1. Your internist of 2 years told you, beat me anytime, page me anytime, call me anytime, text me anytime. If your asthma acts up, he once told you to call him by his first name. He puts his arm around your shoulders when he escorts you out of his office. You just know he would ask you out if you weren't his patient, and naturally, you want to have a quote, talk, end quote, with him or ask him out. The rules answer is, if a doctor is friendly, affectionate, concerned, and kind, then he's doing his job. It's not a come on for a doctor to tell a patient to text him or call the office day or night, quote unquote. If his patient has asthma, people can die of asthma, and it's his job to make sure his patients stay alive and well. Some doctors are informal. It's okay to call them by their first name. And others are touchy feely. They kiss all their patients hello and goodbye. It's just good bedside manners and good business for a doctor to show warmth and caring. If he were romantically interested in you and uncomfortable about dating a patient, he would refer you to his associate and then ask you out. Sure, it's a little more complicated for a doctor, lawyer, or CEO to pursue a patient, client, or associate, but it's not impossible. We've heard about bosses who've dated and even married their employees, even though it was frowned upon by the company. At first, they kept the relationship a secret, and then they voluntarily decided he or she would transfer to another division or another company so they could date freely each other. Fantasy relationship number 2. Your accountant called you over the weekend to remind you to send in your tax forms before April 15th. You think because he called you on Saturday at home instead of during the week at work, there might be something there. The rules answer: accountants work on the weekends, especially during the busy tax season. The lines between work and home during the week and weekends can be very blurry in business for accountants. Unless he suggested brunch, don't read into it. Fantasy relationship number 3. You think the waiter at the restaurant you go to twice a week likes you because he always remembers how you like your eggs and that you take your coffee light with 2 sugars. You think he's more attentive to you than other customers, refills your coffee before you ask, and always makes conversation with you. You want to let him know you're not seeing anyone seriously and would go out with him if he asked. The problem is he hasn't. What to do? The rules answer: waiters are in the service business. It's normal for a waiter to remember a regular customer's preferences. He works for tips, so it's in his interest to be friendly, make conversation, get your order right. If he liked you beyond this, however, he would suggest having drinks one night. The point bears repeating. When a man is really interested in a woman, he figures out some way to ask her out. Don't be insulted. Now, this is all the rules by Ellen Fein and Sherrie Schneider, the mavens of dating who changed the world with their rules book in 1995, and then came out with book after book after book after book because people demanded and needed answers to questions, including married women. And there are rules for married women. It's a lot harder to get married than it is to stay married. That's what the authors say in the first book. But you do have to try to continue to be a creature unlike any other when you're married. Anyway, that back to the topic. One point bears repeating. When a man is really interested in a woman, he figures out some way to ask her out, even outside his profession. Don't be insulted. We're not suggesting that your doctor, broker, or accountant isn't fond of you, just that it's not a rules relationship until he asks you out. Also, keep in mind that many men, including professionals, like to flirt with women. And how? I have actually had an we were on a call 20 years ago, almost, I think about 20, 15, maybe 15 years ago. um no, 17 years ago. Anyway, I had a coworker that was always flirting with me and I flirted back. And then one day I asked him, "Are you married?" And he said, "Yeah." Like that, as though I should have known. And I was just burned. I felt like, oh my goodness, he's been flirting with me and he's married. Goodness gracious, I hate that. So I actually asked the authors what sort of chance there was that the guy would split up with his wife, because if he was flirting with me, he's probably not getting that. I mean, he's not respecting his wife, is the thing. So I did ask about whether there was a chance, and then they said the authors said that you don't date a man unless he's separated from and living far away from his wife. So keep that in mind if you're dating somebody that's not quite single yet, if you're a woman. Also, keep in mind that many men, including professionals, like to flirt with women. Looking at lab results, contracts, and financial statements all day can get pretty boring. So, it's fun for them to make small talk, notice your figure if you're in good shape, and compliment you on your new hairstyle. After all, they are men and they do like to look at women. It's also an ego boost for them to put on the charm, knowing that it gives some of their female patients and clients high school girl crushes. But it's all quite harmless, so don't take it seriously unless he asks you on a date. We're not saying that you can't daydream about your sexy doctor or look forward to quarterly meetings with your handsome financial planner. Being a rules girl doesn't mean you can't have obsessions. It means you don't act on them. The danger lies in thinking there is a relationship there and not being open to real relationships. That's a sentence I'm going to repeat. The danger lies in thinking there's a relationship there and not being open to real relationships. Women who are absorbed in fantasy relationships usually don't have real ones. Ask yourself, are you doing everything to meet men, or are you living for the day when your dream lover asks you out? You're less likely to place a personal ad, sign up with a dating service, or take that singles ski trip if you believe you're in a relationship. Remember, rules girls know they're either dating a man or not. There's nothing in between. So, if you thought your broker or lawyer was interested in you, but after reading this chapter realized he may like you but not romantically, try to accept the truth instead of fighting it. Your first impulse may be to clear the air, be open and honest, ask him if he has feelings for you but isn't acting on them because of your professional relationship. You might want to write him a note or worse, a long letter explaining how you feel. Don't. First, that's not the rules. He must initiate any such talk. Second, nothing good will come of it. If you talk to him and he tells you that you misread his politeness and that he's just as nice to every other client or patient, you'll feel foolish and hurt, not to mention embarrassed about seeing him again professionally. You could really ruin a professional relationship by doing something like that. If, on the other hand, say the authors, he tells you he is attracted to you, but has decided not to pursue the relationship because he's involved with someone else or more interested in you as a client or patient than a lover, you're not much better off. You have the ego satisfaction of knowing that he's attracted to you, but so what? You still don't have a Saturday night date, much less a relationship. And it's hollow victory. It's a hollow victory anyway, because if he was really crazy about you, and why would a rules girl settle for anything less? He would rather date you than just have a professional relationship with you. So if you can't tell him how you feel, what can you do? The rules. Look your best whenever you see him and end all phone calls and meetings first. Show no interest in him personally. Don't send him holiday cards if you mistakenly thought that would make him think about you in a different light, or invite him to your New Year's party to pave the way from a professional relationship to a social one. Don't buy him a tie or for Christmas or bake him cookies for the holidays. Gifts don't make men think about women or ask them out. Try to treat him as you would an elderly or unattractive man, not the handsome hunk you think he is. someone you wouldn't think twice about, much less bake brownies for. Doing the rules won't make him ask you out if he was never going to, but it will keep you from wasting time baking cookies and writing notes to men who aren't interested in you. You'll have more self esteem. Of course, the best thing you can do is try to meet other men, men who do ask you out. Nothing replaces a fantasy relationship better than a rules one. So move on. That's a good one. Then we're going to read about second chances, rules for getting back an ex. This is all the rules, the time-tested secrets for capturing the heart of Mr. Right by Ellen Fein and Sherrie Schneider, the mavens of dating. Now, I'm looking at this a little bit regretfully because I'm thinking it may be slightly too long for the time we have left. So I'm going to skip past it. I wanted to read Getting Back an Ex, which is useful, but um, I don't think it's going to work. Um, okay, let's read this one. Okay, this is a foreword, the rules phenomenon for the second book, which was the rules two, which is included in all the rules. And yes, you heard things fall down. Um, Forward, the rules phenomenon. 4 years ago, when we set out to write the rules, and this is when they wrote this in 1999, we knew that we had an important message to share. We believed in the rules. We had seen them work time and time again in our own lives, in our close circle of girlfriends, and an ever widening circle of friends and acquaintances, as well as coworkers and relatives. When our phones began ringing off the hook with dating questions and eventually success stories, we knew we had to write the rules in book form to make it available to all women. Lo and behold, the rules became not just a best selling book, but a phenomenon, revolutionizing dating practice both here in America and abroad. In fact, the rules became so popular that it achieved a kind of pop culture status. It was spoofed on Saturday Night Live. Get the ring! Used as the plot for several TV sitcoms, and also inspired a number of parody books, including Breaking the Rules, Stare Straight at Men and Talk Incessantly, and Rules for Cats. Don't accept a trip to the vet after Wednesday. I love that. Suddenly, the rules was everywhere. A financial publication ran an article on the rules for investing. Don't buy on Friday if your broker calls after Wednesday. And a political columnist wrote that one presidential candidate might have won the election if he had just tried to be a creature unlike any other. Why all the fuss? Why all the interest in the rules when there are dozens of other dating books on the market? Why has the rules become such a phenomenon? The answer is simple. The rules work. Unlike other dating books that are therapeutic and theoretical, that sound good, that give warm and fuzzy, meaningless and misleading advice, such as be yourself, don't play games, tell a man how you feel, but don't work in real life, the rules tell the truth about dating and help you get Mr. Right. The rules take the analysis and angst out of dating. It's simple. If he calls you, he likes you. If he doesn't, next. What does be yourself mean if that's calling a man 3 times a day or staying on the phone for 3 hours? Why would anyone want to read a dating book that didn't help you get the man you want to marry you? Many people ask how we wrote a bestseller. To be honest, we were not trying to. We wrote the rules to help women date with self esteem and get married, period. While we are naturally thrilled by the success of the book, what's been even more rewarding is seeing how women of all ages and all walks of life use the rules to love themselves and marry Mr. Right. After 3 decades of haphazard dating, Dutch treat, sex on the first date, and living together, these women are delighted that such a dating book exists. I wish I had known about the rules 10 years ago, is the most frequent comment we hear. The rules should be given out to all women at birth, wrote another rules fan. The book hit a chord with not only the book hit a chord not only with single women in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, but with mothers and grandmothers. She won't listen to me. Maybe she'll listen to you, wrote one mom. Another mom told us she gave the book to her daughter and her daughter's friends. While many readers thanked us for the general guidelines provided in the rules, just as many wrote and called asking for more specific answers to dating situations and problems. For example, rules for long distance relationships, rules for getting back an ex boyfriend, which we didn't read today, rules for dating a celebrity, rules for dating a coworker, rules for turning a male friend into a boyfriend, rules for dating services and online dating, and for advice on how to start a rules support group, among many other topics. We wrote the rules too to answer all these questions. The rules to Roman numeral is more rules to live and love by if you buy the separate book. And we wrote the rules too to answer all these questions and to clarify any confusion you might have about rules in the first book, such as how will he know the real me if I do the rules? And can I ever call a man? We have included some success stories in the rules too that we hope will inspire you to do the rules. We hope to publish many more, perhaps yours, in the future. We look success stories. We look forward to your comments, questions, success stories, and wedding invitations. That's from Ellen and Sherrie. Now, we've already read Why the Rules Work before, but we already read that. And rules for turning a turning a friend into a boyfriend. The opposite does not hold true. We do not turn boyfriends into friends. If they're a boyfriend and we don't, if they want to stay friends with benefits or things like that, that's crazy. We stay honest, mysterious, elusive, a little elusive. So we don't have male friends really. The man is, in the first book, the author said the man is kind of your adversary because you're playing a game. Games are good when the man loves them, and he does. Men love to be able to chase their female, hetero men love to chase the women that they're interested in, and they won't tell you so. They'll say, "Oh, I'd be flattered if a woman asked me out," as in many examples that the rules authors have had, and then they don't marry those women. They may be flattered and they might even go really far with you, but they won't marry you in the same way as a rules man would marry a rules woman. So you get really good information, wisdom, the right things to do in the form of the heterosexual chase. So I will say that this is a part of wisdom, hopefully, that we learn the right thing to do and get inspired to do something nice on the day that I talk to you about morsels of a thought. So we're reading what these people have to say through their life experiences. As the authors have said, we get a synopsis of many, many stories and examples, and we are able to ponder our wisdom, morsels of a thought, 1775. And I'll talk to you again later, okay? Old Kinderhook. Bye bye.